All right, so I got lost in the back rooms. I have no script, no idea what I'm going to say, but we're just going to go for it and do it potentially all in one take. So I've been seeing a lot of commentary in reaction to the movie, and I think some of it not so fair. I'm going to do my best to avoid spoilers, but maybe occasionally, I'll give you a heads up. I might stutter, may slip up. You might find out something you didn't want to know before you see the movie. But my idea about it was, first of all, for a 21-year-old kid to make this movie, and some of the ways he made the movie feel was really unique. And I think he did a good job with some of the shots felt liminal, even if it's looking at, the sky or a parking lot. Like, the background all looked liminal, right? Even the colors he used had this kind of dreamy aesthetic to it, and this feeling of uneasiness, I guess, with the vibrancy. It was very unnerving at times, but also comforting. It was really weird, and I think, this isn't really much of a spoiler, but if you don't want to know nothing, click off now, right? Like, the therapy aspect was really unique take on it, because the whole movie, it follows this idea, right, which kind of mirrors exactly what the Backrooms is. And the reason I thought that was interesting was the Backrooms mirror our reality, right? And so the idea of inside the movie, you got this therapist mirroring what this person's going through that also matches the Backrooms. And I thought that was a really interesting element. And I think what's cool is he created his own lane. People were mad, I saw, it didn't follow level 938 or la la la. Like, there is no such thing as what the Backrooms is. This is just a creation, and he created his own version of the Backrooms. And not to mention, it's not even based on a video game, right? So I think people going into it with this expectation of, it's got to be like the video games and this and that. Like, you can create art based on something, but it doesn't have to follow exactly that, right? And even then, the video games came after the idea of the Backrooms. So that criticism, to me, I get it if you don't understand the back story behind it and where it comes from. Like, you don't got to go into it with that. But I think you got to go into this movie with absolutely zero expectation, because it's something that is so unique and it's never been touched before. Like, we have nothing other than Kane Pixel's original shorts to base it on, right? We don't have a movie, we don't got a show, we don't got a horror movie, we don't got nothing based around this beside video games that came after the fact of what the Backrooms were based on, which is that original photo, right? And I think what's even cool is there's a moment in the movie, and this isn't really a spoiler, but they show a little glimpse of the original picture it stems from, both the original pictures. And I thought that was a really cool element, because it's not a still frame where it's like focus point. Like, it happens really quick, and I didn't even notice it. I got it pointed out to me after I watched the movie that it's a very brief moment where they show the original picture as if he's actually going through that hallway, which I thought was a really cool attention to detail. And I think he did a really good job with expanding on his original idea from the shorts and creating those in his bedroom by himself. Like, he now had a budget to go and create something, and he did. If you watch the movie, or when you watch the movie, if you've already watched the movie, I know it's a little bit confusing, and I know I've seen the take that's kind of the point, but I don't think it's really that confusing. I think it's just, you got to think outside the box of what he was trying to get at, right? You've got this. All right, here comes the spoiler. All right, so if you haven't seen the movie, click off now. All right, so you've got this guy who's a failed architect who's really angry at life and blames everything on everyone, right? He stumbles into this place that is nothing but architecture that makes no sense, right? So he's able to navigate this place and blah, 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 but he can navigate walls better than he can navigate himself and his own emotions. And I think that's kind of the whole point, is that throughout the movie, you've got this person who's lost, right? And doesn't know what's going on in life. He's angry at everybody except himself. But at the end of the movie, he's killed by a version of himself. Almost like he was eaten alive by his inner self. And that's the craziness of it. And that's what I loved about it, was it felt like a full circle. And I feel like that's been overlooked a little bit, that it's almost like a metaphor for what he did to himself. He let his emotions consume himself, right? Instead of trying to work through it and try to overcome what he's struggling with, he decided to let it boil up and let it take over his life and consume him. And at the end of the movie, he's eaten by the still life of himself. I don't know, bro. I think that's a fire way to end the movie. And I mean, there's a little bit more to the ending. I know I'm spoiling a lot right now if you haven't seen the movie, but it's really good, and I recommend a good watch on it. So let me know what y'all think in the comments below. If you like this video, throw it a like. Subscribe if you want. This is the first one that I'm doing, so we'll see. But it's gonna be no script. I'm gonna try to just talk. So sometimes I might just be yapping a little bit. But anyways, catch y'all on the next one.